Let's switch these around just a little bit here. There you are. Can you hear me again?
All good.
All right. Excellent. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm David Pease. I'm broadcasting here from Studio Squim. Well, or maybe the bridge of the Enterprise. We'll never be sure. But with me here, Alastair. You may remember Alastair from the game of the X-Files not too long ago. We talked a little bit offline about this game. I showed him the cards and stuff, and he was all in. And so here we are 2 weeks later with the cards on the table. Now, I searched through YouTube a little bit, and I think you pointed this out too. This is the first and only game that's going to be on YouTube right now. So a very cool distinction, a Studio Squim and internet first. Kind of an honor. I know that when I was advertising not advertising, but putting up posts in the various Facebook groups about playing this game, there were a lot of people that were excited to see this game hit the table. So I'm hoping that once they see this, they'll be inspired to go into their boxes and pull out their binders and find these cards, and we'll get some more players out there. How are you feeling about the game? Alastair, you feel pretty good about it?
I'm super excited to give it a shot. I think it's actually a rarity these days, isn't it? That with any dead CCG that you can approach it and have so little idea from other videos and other content about what you're doing with the game. I find myself looking at this like there's no discussion really online meaningfully that I could find about what a good card is, what the most powerful cards are considered to be in the game. I've not been able to find any hints about really optimally how you're meant to play through stages of a turn in terms of, I see one of the first things we're deciding is about discarding from our hands, but I don't know, is this a game where like I'm chucking a lot from my hand to try and refine it a lot? Is that a bad idea? Like there's just so many fundamental parts of this that I have no clue what is good or bad, and that I couldn't gain information on that by just going and looking it up from a video or from write-ups elsewhere. And there are precious few games that is the case for out there still. So I think that's the thing I'm most excited about is just having a shot at something where we have no idea what ranks is good or bad or this kind of thing.
Right, we're starting kind of at the bottom and working our way up. We're the ones who are going to be setting precedent here, so no pressure. But
one of the things coming into this that I was reminded of is we're playing today with the starter decks. So these are little pre-constructed. I think they're 58 cards plus kind of your default missions and your starting crew that you have in the game. And of course, starter decks for CCGs in the 90s this game was 96, are notorious for occasionally being not very functional out of the box. Right. So one thing I'm interested in today is how we get on with the cards that we find in here. From a little flick through, I think the answer is going to be we'll be just fine. But recently, for example, I was opening for the first time some cards for the old 90s Rage CCG. Mm-hmm. And I bought 2 starter decks for that and 3 boosters, and I do not believe I can build one functional deck out of all the cards I opened between them. So so I'm hoping we don't come anywhere close to that. That's my big fear for the afternoon.
Yeah, we were talking just before we went live, and I was saying this might be a little clunky, at least on my end, as we fumble through some of the rules and try to figure out some of these cards. I was saying that some of the keywords in here that you can use to pay for abilities are kind of buried in the flavor text a little bit. So I have a little cheat sheet on my list. If you see me here reaching to my left, that's what's happening as I'm trying to review the sheets. Yeah, and you have it handy right there too.
Thank you to whoever the Board Game Geek user is who made this nicely kind of tidied up version of the little eye test booklet that accompanies the actual boxed CCG. We appreciate it.
Yeah, you wonder. And there's 41 pages in this rule book, and the text is so small. I found myself using my phone magnifier to just to snap a picture and zoom in on it a little bit for each page. A lot to remember, but we were kind of joking again right before the broadcast. We were joking about these initial rule books when CCGs were brand new. And what were you saying? You noticed one about changing sides?
There's an amazing moment in the rule book where it's talking about the moment in gameplay where you switch from being the challenging player to the challenger, and it has a little bit in brackets where it's kind of assuring you that you don't need to physically switch sides of the table when it talks about switching sides, which is just like wonderfully 90s. Like there's just there's no fixed idea of what is just taken for granted when you write a card game rulebook. Part of me, when I come to rulebooks like this these days, there's a wonderful sense of nostalgia to them, but I do just wish that they all kind of looked like something that Fantasy Flight Games wrote in the 2010s or something, where it's like beautifully presented, wonderful graphics, like no very little extra needless jargon or anything. So so yeah, pleasantly nostalgic in one way, but I think like David's saying, you're going to see us reach for the rules references quite a bit today, and probably make a couple of mistakes or certainly non-optimal plays. I think we can say for sure. So we're learning as we go here.
Yeah, and start with the starter decks. I kind of wanted to do that just to give us both kind of a level playing field. We both have cards from boosters that we've opened, so you'll see the game get better and better the more we play and the more we kind of figure these things out. But for today, it's all brand new, and we're just going to have some fun.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. I have my ship's stores here, and here's my power base. You may recognize these tokens from the X-Files that is frequently played on my channel. To determine who is the challenger and who is the current player, we'll do a coin flip, as is per the usual on Studio Squim. We'll have
I'll call this before it's in the air, because I believe that time delay caused this to be a bit of a weird thing last time. So, right. So I'm gonna guess I'm going to go for tails before you flip it. So flip when you're ready, okay. David.
You're saying tails, and just to establish, the X here is heads. The U.S. dime back is tails. All right, so here we go. Flip it in the air. Oh, it's heads. That means I get to go first. I'm going to choose to be the opening player. And you'll be the challenger.
I feel like the pressure's off me slightly here. I get to learn from watching you in this turn. So.
Well, we'll see how it plays out. So we'll draw our initial 7. Okay, and just before we get started, I do want to encourage people that are watching this now during the broadcast and afterward, please do comment if you see us break a rule, or maybe you saw something a little better. Throw it in the comments and let us know. We definitely want to improve our game and be playing this to the best of our abilities. So any hints would be most welcome.
Absolutely, particularly if if you're part of a play group out there who are still playing this frequently, that we've not come across on YouTube or on Board Game Geek or whatever. It would be great to hear from anyone who really knows their stuff about this, who's still playing it now. So yeah, get in touch and let us know where we're going wrong.
Yeah, I'll be adding all the hashtags to this broadcast, so hopefully I'll cast a wide net and we'll find some knowledgeable people and hopefully some more players as well.
Yeah.
Okay, with that having been said, there was no discard phase, and moving straight to the draw phase, we did that. We each have our 7. I don't think I draw extras, do I? Like an extra 2 to start my turn or anything?
Good question.
I think it just goes, you discard and then you draw back to your full hand size. I promised myself I wasn't going to be doing this too much going back. in this rule book, but I think
I feel like it's more valuable that we take our time and the game's a little bit slow, but we get it right, than that we kind of just power through and make mistakes. So that's not worry too much if we're dipping into the rule book
right.
a little bit to start with.
So it says here, during the draw phase, the current player selects cards from his draw pile. The current player should always draw up to his full hand size, which I believe we established as 7.
So my only understanding about this is that I don't believe that the discard phase is skipped in the first round of the game, unless I'm missing that somewhere. In which case, you actually have a chance to finesse your opening hand by discarding.
I think there's a mulligan rule, isn't there?
And is there a mulligan? Let me just flip back a second here as well. Actually, I don't see anything about a mulligan rule, and I wonder if that's because you have this discard phase where you're going to get to, discard some of your hand to draw back up. It says both players then draw 7 cards from the draw pile. Setup is now complete. And then there's nothing about, some games will skip certain phases when you're the first player to play in the game, for example. But I think.
So you think we should draw 7 and then start with the discard phase?
I think that's where that's how this is looking. Do you agree from what you see in the rule book there, David?
It stands to logic that gives you a chance to finesse your opening hand. So
cool. Okay. Let's go with that. Yeah.
If it's not stated, then it just became a house rule. In which case, let's see.
So this is rough for me because I don't get a chance to discard here. Like very explicitly, it says in the rule book, the challenging player doesn't. So if I draw an opening hand that has no challenges, for example, I have a tough first turn here, I think.
You're kind of stuck with what you drew, huh?
Yeah, no chance to refine. So I won't give anything away, but yeah, that's an interesting point.
Well, I am going to discard. I'm going to take advantage of that.
Seems good.
I'm going to discard 2. See if I can get everything in the screen here. There we go. So I'm discarding the Planetary Guards challenge and the Caretaker wild card. The challenge card just because I don't get to challenge this turn. And
makes sense to me, yeah. And I think like for anyone who's not played the game before, we're kind of looking, as far as I understand it, to assemble kind of sets of mission plot discovery cards in our hand on our turn, as well as I think probably hoping to have at least one crew member in hand. So doing what David's doing here, where you're ditching challenge cards that he can't use this turn to try and draw into those cards, to me seems like the way to be going.
Yeah, and my logic behind the Caretaker wildcard is that it works best on telepathic attributes, which I'm going to gamble is not as common as the card would lead me to believe. So I'm going to let that one go. So I'll draw back 2 to get to 7. Crew phase. No crew complement to play. So we'll go straight to episode. In the interest of making things interesting, rather than the default mission, we're going to start with Charlie X. I'm going to play that down. Plus, that prevents you from playing a mission card on my default.
Absolutely. And it also very appropriate as it was the first broadcast ever episode, right, of the original series, I think. So we're on point for the show's canon as well.
Excellent. We're on theme.
Now, what is the rules text on Charlie X, David? Because I know that some of these have specific stipulations as to how they affect the game.
Now this says +2xc, which I'm assuming that comes in at the end as the bonus for finishing the mission or finishing the entire episode. But then it says all crew are +1 to humanity rating, which is the Delta Shield emblem. So if I ever get challenged, I get a +1 if we do a humanity draw.
Okay.
So this is your turn to play mission card, then choose my landing party. I can't choose the Enterprise because it doesn't have the Enterprise icon on there. So I'm gonna pick the whole bridge crew. So I'll turn them this direction. And if they get neutralized or killed or anything, I can turn them on their side to remind me. So that'll be my landing party. Assign XC to the landing. We didn't do one thing, and that's add XC to the Enterprise, 1 for each player in the game. So we need to add 2 to our Starship Enterprise. And
So
just to remind our players, I think you're probably going to say the same thing I am. Even though we're on separate screens, so we each have a set of these red colored cards. These are actually common cards that are shared between the two of us. So we'll have to be extra careful to make sure that we always match the amount of XC on each of these. If we were playing face-to-face, which who knows, maybe someday, if we were playing face-to-face on a table, there would only be one set of these cards out here. So that's something we'll have to just be extra careful about. With that having been said, assign XC. Now, if I remember correctly, I can take from my power base and assign them however I see fit.
Yeah.
Which in this crew, in the core crew here, I'm not seeing any advantage. Wait, Spock says Vulcan nerve pinch, of course. Play 1 XC to add 1 combat icon to any icon draw. Interesting.
So I believe as well when it says pay 1 XC that is always coming from your reserve, which is a motivator.
The way I understood it is that when I assign XC to my landing party, I would put 1 on Spock, anticipating that I would want to pay that 1 later when we do a combat icon draw. So I wouldn't be able to just pull it from my power base. I would have to plan ahead and think, okay, Alastair may challenge me with a combat. So I want Spock to have an XC to pay for that. The same with Kirk, who has intercede, pay 1 XC to make Kirk the target of an action.
Sorry, you're absolutely right. It is from the crew card. Sorry, Dave, that's my misunderstanding.
So I'm trying
there's really no reason to hold anything back in the bank then. So yeah.
Well, other than at least at the beginning, 3 XC is pretty short on XC, considering how much you're going to end up using it. So hopefully, I mean, that's all the more motivation for me to to play the game right.
So you've put 1 to Spock.
I put 1 to Spock, and I'm actually going to change my mind. I'm going to move it to Kirk because of his intercede. Pay 1 XC to make Kirk the target of an action. Kirk is -1 on all ratings if used in this manner. He's got a combat of 7. So if combat ends up coming up I don't want McCoy to get targeted when he only has 3.
Yeah, that makes
So
sense.
I'm going to bank that. And one great nuance of this game is because these are shared. If I don't use that XC, it transfers to you in the next turn. So I got to be careful not to load these guys up with XC.
Yeah, so the aim of the game is to have a total of 25 XC in the change player phase of your turn. The XC that's on the Enterprise and on these shared crew cards, we share that between us. So we'll also end up with our own crew members, probably with XC on them, possibly some wild cards that we can have XC on as well. But we need to be careful as we add to the common crew that we're not helping the opponent get too close to the final total.
Right. That is the win condition, 25 XC at the end of your turn, or knock out the Enterprise by removing all of its XC. 2 win conditions. That's good. I like that. In Pokemon, if I remember correctly, there were like 3 ways to win. You would deck out your opponent. You would eliminate all of their Pokemon from their bench, and there was a third one, but I can't remember. But
I think I've certainly wound up in games of Pokemon where I'm no longer actually able to damage the opposing team's Pokemon, so you wind up decking yourself out to not being able to get past their
right,
defense.
if you don't have a Pokemon to move up to the challenge position, yeah, that was the third condition. So I like having multiple conditions like that because it gives you a little more open strategy as opposed to just
Definitely.
one way to win.
And I'm hoping that kind of blowing up the Enterprise seems like the long shot victory condition, so which seems appropriate. The ship does not really blow up in the TV show, so I think that's that one we're gonna have to work a bit for, but it should be interesting to see if it happens. So,
which makes that all the more tempting for me to try and put together a Klingon or a Romulan focused deck that draws in the Enterprise, whether you like it or not, kind of a thing, and just start attacking it. I saw a few cards, one cloaking device and a couple others that would be good for space combat. So I'm hoping that as I refine my deck and my strategies, we'll see a lot more nuanced decks like that. It'd be a lot more fun.
Yeah, I think there'll be a lot of variety in the ways that you can approach the game. It should be interesting.
Okay.
So we've got your away team is assembled now. So your landing party. You've done your initial XC.
I've assigned my XC, so now it's your turn to play a challenge card on my mission.
Sure, and so the end of the initial XC segment says any XC over 1 left in the power base goes back to ship stores. So you will have one point remaining after that, right, David?
Yeah, that's another penalty. Yikes.
And just for anyone who's watching, that can wind up mattering because some cards from hand require you to spend XC as well. Okay, initial challenge segment. I don't think this is necessarily a good idea, but I want to get us up and going with challenge cards. So I'm going to play a challenge card immediately here onto this first mission. So there isn't an XC cost for this one. The challenge that I'm playing is Samurai Warrior. So it's attack or enigma for its action options. And it says the samurai is a creation of the mind brought to life by alien technology. The combat rating of this card is equal to the highest logic rating in the landing party when it's played. So I presume that will be Spock's at 7.
Yes, correct.
And I believe that I am going to have it use attack rather than enigma for its action here. And our little handy rules reminder card here tells us that the rating that's used for this is combat, which is our red number, and that the target is the choice of the current player. So that will be yourself, David, as to who you want the samurai to fight.
He's going to fight Kirk.
Makes sense because Kirk's got a lot of combat power himself here. And we then resolve this using an icon flip, which I am going to quickly remind myself how that works.
An icon flip or an icon draw?
It says icon flip on my info card, but I would not be surprised if they're referenced in two different ways that mean the same thing. In the
Well, icon flip is I turn over one card, and the icon, if it's a phaser icon, that particular crew person is killed. If it's humanity, they're neutralized, and if it's logic, then there's no damage. But if it's an icon draw, that means that I would draw my combat of 7.
So it definitely says on the info card, if the action is attack, the rating is combat, and the result is an icon flip. But I am a little bit fuzzy. I just want to try and find the rules that actually specify how. I think there's like a breakdown by type of how an attack action works.
So I'm looking at the quick reference that we have.
Yep.
And it's 4C, which is page 3. Icon flip. Current player draws a card. If it is a combat icon, crew member is killed and removed from the game, unless the target is the Enterprise. In which case the Enterprise would lose 1 XC, unless it has no XC on it, in which case the current player loses. All XC on that crew goes to the ship's stores. If it's a humanity icon, the crew member is neutralized. If it's a logic icon, there is no effect. And that's what icon flip is.
I guess like it feels you may want to go back and edit this out later, David, because I feel like this is going to bog us down for a minute here. It just feels strange to me that like the rating is not having any role here in how we're playing this rule. So like combat rating just doesn't matter as we're playing this just now. And then the result for me on this info card always says icon flip. It never says icon draw. And that again just feels wrong, right? Like it feels like we should be flipping cards.
Yeah, I'm looking at again with the quick reference on page 3, resolving actions. Challenging player chooses which action to take if there's a choice, which you chose combat. Attack, yeah. Target is determined based on the type of action, which I got to choose, so I chose Kirk. Action is resolved by an icon draw. This involves drawing cards, the number of which is stated on the target and challenge cards. So I would do 7. And what's the samurai's combat?
And so his combat is equal to the highest logic rating on the landing party. So I'd also do 7.
That would also be 7, you know.
And well, I've got an example here. There's an example here about it's not using the characters that we're using, but it is an attack example.
Maybe that's what happens.
We learned that attack is a combat action, target of which is the choice of the current player. At this point, the player would draw a number of cards equal to the combat rating for their respective warriors. Current player would draw, 7 cards. After both players have drawn the required number of cards from their draw pile, each should count the number of icons for the particular rating that was drawn. Icons for the purpose of determining the winner of an icon draw are located in the lower left hand of a card. When making an icon draw, all other info is irrelevant. For example, Kirk draws 7 cards and only manages to get 1 phaser icon, while the Gorn Captain draws 5 cards but gets 3 phaser icons. The Gorn Captain would win the challenge. After the action has been resolved, it's time to ascertain the results of the challenge. If the current player is the winner, defeating the challenge card, then the challenge card is discarded. However, if the challenging player is the winner and a crew card in the landing party has been defeated by a challenge card, the player should consult the chart to determine the result of the action. Okay, so we're here now, right? So we're both flipping 7. Whoever gets more phasers is going to win, and if I win, then we flip to see if you get killed or neutralized or whatnot. So
that makes a lot of sense. We're glad we had that discussion.
How exciting! Okay, I'm ready to flip 7 cards. You, David.
All right, let's do it. Well,
have you got 4?
And
4
I've got
phasers.
4.
I've got 4 as well. The back to the rulebook we go.
I believe the current player wins in a tie.
Okay, excellent.
Double check me though.
No, that rings a bell for me, and it keeps it simple here. So let's go ahead with that. So because you're the current player, you win the tie on 4 phasers each, and you defeat the challenge. So I will send that plus all the flip cards to my discard pile. And you get to proceed to.
Now we go to plot
segment. Yeah.
Okay. I'm just going to go with the, well, let's play this just in the interest of getting cards out on the table here. Got the plot from where no man has gone before, in the age before pronouns there. Certain crew members are bathed in an unknown form of radiation. It says +2xc and icon flip. So that's another reason I played this card, because I was unsure when that icon flip takes place and who's the target of the icon flip.
Yeah, that sounds really unusual. So it just says +2xc icon flip on it, David.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
maybe at the end I do an icon flip and I get +2xc if I win the icon.
I think that because the thing is, right, icon flip, doesn't icon flip always have okay, try and put this simply. Is there somewhere that tells us what an icon flip does when it's just a neutral thing? There's a rule somewhere that says icon flip, flip the top card and this is what happens, kind of thing, outside of it being specifically attacking or something like that?
Well, that doesn't ring a bell, to coin your phrase there, and
because I'm just it's a really weird positioning of icon flip on that. Like I don't understand +2xc icon flip. I have no clue what the for example, in our quick reference from Board Game Geek, it says who is targeted on icon flips and how do they work, and it just says crew facing an icon flipper in grave danger and could be killed. Icon flips resulting from episode cards force the current player to select a member of the landing party as target. The current player selects the targeted crew when they play the episode card or when the opponent plays it on top of a default. The current player draws 1 card from the top of his or her draw pile to indicate the result of the flip. So basically, if you play that, you'll have to pick one member of your own team to face the risk of death. So I don't know if that's one where it's like you're meant to hold it for my turn to like so that you're playing it, when I play a default one to try and get my crew, or whether this is like a reward for some peril, like that you are meant to play it on your turn, and then you have this risk of maybe a crew member gets killed or something. But I mean, I suppose, for example, at the moment, if you were to have McCoy or Spock get killed, okay, they can't contribute to the rest of the mission. You can't put XC on them at the end of it. However, maybe that doesn't matter too much depending on what's coming up for you. I'm not sure. Yeah, up to you what you want. If you want to take it back, I have no problem with that. Although it opens up the possibility that I might play something in that's even worse. So.
And that's where I was going. Was I just kind of wanted to block you playing something like Where No Man Has Gone Before and forcing an icon flip on me. But
yeah,
I am feeling a little greedy, and I want that +2 XC at the end.
That makes sense. So who are you selecting for the icon flip here, David?
Well, the core crew is pretty well balanced. Let's see. I'm going to choose McCoy as the target of that flip.
Okay.
And refresh my memory. I know you just read this, but if it's a phaser, he's dead. Anything else, and he's okay.
Phaser, he's dead, and I think I'm going to find the specific reference here, but I think on.
It's probably the same thing, right? Humanity means he's neutralized, and logic, no effect. And while we're looking that up, I'm going to say hello to Martin in Argentina. Thanks for joining the stream.
Hi, Martin.
Oh.
Can you hear me, David?
Now I can. You froze there on my end for a second.
Awesome. Hopefully it's a one-off thing. So red phaser means they're killed. Yellow Federation shield means neutralized for the remainder of the episode. And a blue Vulcan logic symbol means not affected.
Okay. So same as we did before. All right. So here we go, McCoy.
Drum roll.
Oh, it's red.
It's red phaser. Okay. So what happens when a core crew member is killed? If a core crew is killed, the card is removed from the game for the rest of the game. The crew member is no longer available to any players. If a member of the player's crew complement is killed, that card is removed from the game. Okay, so it appears that McCoy is just dead and out of our game for both of us. So, well, sad face.
Yeah, sorry about that, McCoy.
Okay. However,
but I get to XC at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Money in the bank for you. So, and that then brings us. I have no challenge cards to play into this time, so we don't need to worry about the second challenge segment. Okay. We can just go to the discovery phase, which is once all plot cards have been played and resolved. The current player, which is you here, plays a discovery card from hand or the default discovery card. And again, if the default is played as the challenging player, I can play a discovery card of my own if I have one.
And we don't do. Normally, would we go back and play the challenges until I finish all the challenges?
That's right. Yeah. So usually, what would happen if, for example, if you had not won the battle with the Samurai Warrior at the start, we would be returning to that challenge card and playing out the challenge again and again until your crew is killed or you voluntarily give up the episode. So with one fatality already, though, on this away mission, let's hope that we get over the finish line without any more deaths.
Yeah, I don't think Captain Kirk would be very happy with my mission playing there. But since no challenges, we'll go right to playing Discovery. And I'm going to play Discovery from The Conscience of the King. The crew learns the identity of a murderess. Spoiler alert. +1 XC or +2 XC if the highest logic in the current landing party is over 4. So I'm banking on Spock paying off for me there.
That seems good to me. And as far as I understand it, I had the one challenge card that I played at first. I didn't have any other challenge cards in my opening hand, so I'm not really able, I don't think, because you've had the full set of mission cards as well, to get in to interfere in any way here. So I think that's all good, and we're done with the discovery phase. So we're on to resolution. As the challenging player, I would receive 1 XC from ship stores for each challenging episode that I played that's still on the episode, plus the cost of any challenge cards on the episode. None of that's relevant because I didn't manage to do any of that. And in fact, this now would be where the final resolve challenge segment would happen. So this would be where we would go back and have those replays of things that didn't get done. However, again, that's not relevant. So we can go on to the current player receives XC based on the amount on the mission card, added or subtracted to by reward modifiers on plot cards, discovery cards, etc., etc. So, David, how much are you gaining from your little storyline there?
All right, so the mission card has +2 XC. The plot card has +2 XC. And then the discovery one +1 XC or +2 if the highest logic in the current landing party is over 4. That's Spock with 7. So I get +2. So 2, 4, I get 6.
Sounds good. And those story cards you have, they're not from the same episode, right? Because you get a special super bonus if they are. No, okay.
No,
So,
I wish. That was the first thing I thought was I want to play all Space Seed. I want to go against Khan.
So yes, you have 6 points to dish out to your surviving crew members. None of them are neutralized. That would have capped the XC that they could receive at 1, so that doesn't matter here. I think there is an overall cap that crew can't hold more than
5
XC, right?
Yeah. Now, does that go to my ship? Not to my ship store. Does it go to my power base, or does it actually go to?
So I believe it goes to straight to the landing party themselves. Let me just double check.
Which sucks because now I'm setting you up totally for.
Oh, sorry. These XC can be distributed to surviving landing party crew, permanent wild cards, or your power base. So you could hoard them in your power base, particularly if you have challenge cards already in your hand that you're going to have to pay XC for on my turn. That could be an idea.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep that in my power base. And I believe that's pretty much it, right?
And I'm just thinking ahead. There's an extra strategic thing where keeping it in your power base maybe really makes sense when you've not been able to play a crew person on your first turn, because when it comes back round to your turn, before you will be forced to purge that XC where you have to go down to only having 1. Your moment where you play your crew card for turn actually comes before that, and then you have the initial XC phase. I believe where you can. Actually, I'm not sure. I'm gonna bench that thought because it's going to slow us down. I'm not sure how that's going to work when it rolls around to your next turn. But anyway, right? Yeah, let's keep going with where we are just now and not get carried away. So you've dished out your.
I think that's the plan, though, is that I can put my XC on crew members before I discard, and or before I have to drain my power base down to 1. So that's how I kind of protect myself from losing everything all at once. So to finish out, let's count up my XC. I've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Not even close to 25.
Okay. Yeah.
So with that having been said, I believe we just reset the core crew, and we switch sides on the table, and now you're on my side.
Yep. Hold on. I'm just going to grab a plane to Washington to come and sit in your chair, and I'm sure you'll make it over to Scotland in no time. We get on to turn 2 of the game. Just kidding. Okay. So discarding. I'm going to discard one card. I'm going to discard the Discovery, the Squire of Gothos. And then that leaves me with 5 cards in hand because I played the one challenge on your turn, so I get to draw 2. So that's my draw phase done. Crew phase, I'm going to add 1 crew to my complement. So I'm going to add Yeoman Tina Lawton, who has the ability Diversion. Pay 1 XC to redirect an action against one of the landing parties to another crew in the landing party. And then we're on to the episode phase. Mission segment, I play a mission card from hand, or the default mission card. I do have one in hand. I am going to play Tomorrow is Yesterday, which just has +2 XC, no other rules text on that one. Landing party, I will bring my own crew member plus the 2 surviving bridge crew in Spock and Kirk. And initial XC segment, current player adds 1 XC from his power base to each landing party member he wishes. So I will spend 2. I will give 1 to Spock and 1 to Tina Lawton, which leaves me with 1 in my reserves. And we go to the initial challenge segment. Do you have a challenge card you would like to play on the mission card, David? I can't hear you at the moment, David. Can you hear me? This is strange. Why can't I hear you? The joys of technology.
Okay. Oh, now can you hear me?
I can hear you again. Yeah.
My one laptop was just having way too much trouble getting your audio, so I had to switch.
Okay.
My overhead there. But now I can hear you great. So whether or not whatever happens with my laptop here, at least I can hear you the whole time. Now it's to me to play a challenge on your mission card, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, and I've just realized something, which is that this card has the little Enterprise symbol in the top right hand corner. So I presume this means that the Enterprise is on duty here as well, which is exciting.
Yeah, I missed that on my turn. I played that Where No Man Has Gone Before, and it had the Enterprise on it. So I should have pulled the Enterprise into my landing party, but I neglected to do that. All right, I am going to play a challenge on your mission. It's going to be Dr. Elizabeth Denner, u.s.s. Enterprise crew member who is granted godlike powers, godlike in bold and green, so that's a keyword you can play against. Granted godlike powers through exposure to alien radiation. It says to pay 1 XC for my power base, so I'll do that right now. and the challenge is either negotiate or mind control. I'm going to go with negotiate on this,
Okay.
which calls on us to do our icon draw against humanity, which I have 5. And the target is the choice of the current player, so you get to choose who I play against.
Yeah, I do not have any cards which have as much as you, which means I'm on a bit of a back foot here in this one. And the result is that I've been neutralized. So I think we're gonna Kirk's gonna have a shot at this one. So we're flipping. I'm flipping 4. You're flipping 5 here, and we're looking
Correct,
for
yeah.
yellow symbols this time. Okay, let's go for it.
Oof.
Is that 4?
I got 4 humanity icons. Yeah.
Sledgehammer to open a nutshell here. I got 1.
Oh man.
You definitely win that one. So let's have a quick look. Neutralize, I believe, just means that, very much automatically that character enters the neutralized state.
Yeah, so you would turn him on his side, and he neutralized means he can still gain XC but can't contribute to skills.
And I believe he's limited to 1 XC as well at the end of it, so he can bank a lot. So okay, so Kirk is neutralized in the challenge segment. And the other bad news for me is that means that I did not complete that challenge, so it may come back to haunt me later in the turn here. So that stays in play for you. Plot segment. I do have a plot card in hand that I'm going to play here. I'm not sure if this is a good idea, but we're gonna go with it. So the episode is Return of the Archons. The rules text is +2 XC. Next challenge card played in this episode gains mind control and +1 to logic rating. So if you have another challenge in hand here that has a good logic already, I could be in trouble here. Do you have a challenge that you would like to play here, David?
I have a challenge, but I'm not impressed with his skill ratings here, so I'm at the risk of exposing my hand or giving you a little information there. I'm not going to play a challenge.
Okay, cool. So we then can move on to... So there's step 4H here, resolve challenge segment. Resolve all challenge cards in play 1 at a time, starting with any leftover on mission card. So we go back again to your challenge that's on the first mission card still, and me with ever diminishing chances of actually getting this done here. I'm going to use the Enterprise itself this time to try and get rid of this challenge card. So I have a humanity of 4 with this one. You're still on your rating of 5. Yes. So we have the flip to work it out here.
Yeah, let's do it. Oh no. Who shuffled this deck? I got no humanity on that one.
I also got none, but because I'm the defending player, thankfully that means that I at least clear that challenge off this time.
All right, so we'll remove that, and no other challenges to stop you there.
So we then move to the discovery phase. So all the plot cards have been played and resolved. A current player plays a discovery card from hand or the default card. Thankfully, I have one in hand. So I have Operation Annihilate here as my discovery, +1 XC or +2 XC if a member of the landing party has a logic logic rating of 5 or greater. So I actually have 2 crew members. I've got my Yeoman and Spock, who both have 5 or greater on logic. So that's looking good here. So we move then to the resolution phase, because this is the one step where the challenging player can't play a challenge card onto a discovery card. So challenging player receives 1 XC from ship stores for each challenge and episode card played in the episode, plus the cost of any challenge cards still in the episode. So again, sadly, I was able to clear off all the cards, so David isn't banking anything from the challenging player's turn. Final XC segment. All the challenge cards are gone, so I receive XC based on the amount on the mission cards. So I'm on 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I am going to dump 4 of that onto my crewman. And then I will put 1 on Spock, and I will keep 2 in my ship stores. Sorry, I had 1 already, so it's 4 on the crewman, 1 on Spock, 1 going to ship stores, bringing the ship stores up to a total of 2. So neutralized crew members reset. These go to the discard pile.
And just so I understood, because this end phase where we divvy up all the XCs at the end, I do not get any credit for playing that challenge card.
That's correct. If it had remained, if I hadn't been able to overcome it, you would have gotten both 1. I believe it's 1 XC for it being there, and then if you had paid an XC cost to play it, which I think you did, you would have gotten that back as well. But if it's defeated, then nothing comes back for it.
But don't we keep playing until it's defeated, whether I like it or not?
So I can choose to abandon the mission, which is probably once I get to the point where I'm thinking that my crew are going to die, because, like, say I'm facing a challenge where I just have a really low score, then it maybe makes more sense to abandon it and let you get the XC than have, say, especially now that I've got 1 crew member who's loaded up with like a ton of XC. If I'm potentially risking that crew member to get something done, it maybe makes more sense to just walk away, at which point you would get the XC points for the cards still on the table there.
Okay, that makes sense.
So yeah, the bridge crew go back to the bridge. My complement go back to my ship's complement. Nowhere near 25 still, so it will pass the turn back to you, David.
All right, and while we're changing, I am going to welcome Stephen from Alien Investigations channel is here.
Hey, Stephen.
Watching. He's making a reference here. I'm just going to bring this comment up. Do either of you have cards from the episode where Captain Kirk saves the Klingons hundreds of dollars on hotel reservations? No, we do not. And there's no episode. Maybe this would be a fun joke card to make on the side, but I don't know if you watch Saturday Night Live, Alastair, if you've seen the episode where William Shatner was the host.
Unfortunately not.
Oh, they did a parody where the Enterprise had been sold to the Marriott Corporation and turned into a revolving restaurant. So now Kirk is now like the general manager of a restaurant, and Spock is the host. And you have to. I won't do it justice. You have to see it. But
I'll have to YouTube that one later. Yeah.
And Steven's asking, "Can I get a captain's log?" Boy, I wish I had thought of that at the beginning of the episode. Maybe I'll add that in post just for fun. And can we expect some custom Trekkie tokens in the future?
Ooh.
Yes, you can.
I really want a custom Trekkie playmat. I think that could be really fun for this.
I was thinking about that too. It'd be kind of nice to just keep everything a little more organized. But that's another day. So everything is reset. I've got one on Spock and one on Kirk. Is that what you have as well? Oh no!
So I put one onto Spock on my turn. So he's on 2 at the moment. Yeah.
Okay, so I've got 2 on the Enterprise, 2 on Spock, 1 on Kirk. We're the same. So back to the discard phase, which just a very quick review. I'm going to just discard 1, and that leaves me with 2, so I'll draw back 5. I almost said I turned to you to sell and buy for conspiracy.
Unfortunately, I have no equivalent of that in this game, so I'm just stuck with the 3 cards that I have left from my last turn. And I'm realizing that I maybe should have discarded more aggressively myself that last turn, but so it goes. Crew phase, you can add 1 crew member to your complement. If it matches mine, so if you also had Yeoman Tina Lawton, some shenanigans happens, but let's hope that's not the case and we keep it simple.
I do have 1 crew I'm going to play before we go any further.
Go for it.
Yeoman Teresa Ross. She has godly attraction. Any godlike challenges must choose a crew with godly attraction as their initial target if possible.
Okay, so we're seeing that keyword's cropping up a few times already here. So we then move to the episode phase. So mission segment, current player plays a mission card from hand or the default mission card.
Again, playing this, 1, because I want the XC, and 2, because I don't want you to play anything on my default here. I'm going to play mission from the Naked Time. The u.s.s. Enterprise must monitor the breakup of the planet PSI 2000.
I remember that one. It's a fun episode.
Yeah, and the effect text here is +2 XC. Player may bring an unlimited number of crew on landing party.
Oh, wow. This sounds bad for me.
Well, I won't be able to take advantage of that fully, but
yeah, I suppose we're early enough game that we're not overrun with crew members yet. So
not yet.
Well, the good news is that I do not have a challenge card to play onto that. So you clear the mission step, no problem this time. And we're on to the...
I did skip declaring my landing party.
Yes.
Which is probably pretty obvious, but I am going to bring Kirk and Spock and Yeoman Ross as my landing, but that's the official landing party.
We've also got the initial XC segments. This is your chance, I think, to move some XC around. So current player adds 1 XC from his power base to each landing party member he wishes. Crew cards and permanent wild cards may not have more than 5 XCs at any time. We've talked about that already. Any XC over 1 left in the power base goes back to ship stores. So I guess the downside to holding on to your XC at the end of the turn is that at this point, you're only allowed to add 1 XC from power base to each landing party member. So, yeah, so you can't dump it on 1 in the way that you can at the end of a turn.
Okay, but I can't put 3 on Yeoman Ross, right?
It's only 1 per landing party member. Let me just consult the original rulebook as well, because I'm looking at the quick reference sheet here. But I think this is correct. In the initial XC segment, the current player may assign XC from his power base to the members of the landing party. Each member of the landing party may receive only 1 XC at this time.
So I'll put the 1 on Yeoman. I'm not gonna help you. I'm just gonna let these other 2 go back to
ship stores.
To the ship stores.
Okay, so we jumped around a little bit there, but we are onto the plot segment now. So go for it, David. Whatever your plot is you have here.
All right. No plot card to play. Do you have one you want to play down on the default?
Well, I am out of luck because none in my hand for that. So you're safe on the just the basic core episode plot card there.
Okay, and any challenges before we move on?
And no challenges either. Sad face.
No. All right, then moving on then.
Do you have a discovery card that you would like to play?
I do. I'm going to play the discovery card for The Devil in the Dark. And I'm going to use Stephen's suggestion to put commas and pauses in for dramatic effect. So I apologize ahead of time to Trekkies everywhere and to Mr. William Shatner, but here it goes. The crew discovers a creature is only trying to protect its young. Okay. I'm only going to do that once. Because that was terrible. The effect text here is +1 XC or +2 XC if highest humanity rating and surviving landing party is 4 or greater.
So
which,
no
Yeoman
problem.
Ross has 4, so I just make that.
And you've got Kirk as well, who has a.
He also has 4.
4, yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so there's no sort of challenge stuff from things that I've played. I'm not going to get any XC because I've basically not done anything in this story. So I think we're just on to you dishing out XC for your crew here, David.
All right, let me throw this up here because I think it's a compliment. XC, I get +2 from the naked time. Nothing on the default, and then in the discovery, I was saying +1 or +2 if my surviving crew, one of them has humanity 4 or more, which I did qualify for. So that gives me 4 XC. I'll put just the 1 allowable on Yeoman Ross.
So at this point in the game, my understanding is that you can put any amount you like. You can distribute it however you like. So you could put all 4 on Ross. You could keep some in the stores and put some on her. However you want to split it up. I also have a sneaking suspicion that, particularly early game, maybe it's not the worst thing to put a little bit on the common cards, but that's very much just kind of gut feelings on my part here. But that's why I dumped 1 on Spock during my turn. But yeah, split it up however you like.
Yeah. Ooh. I'm going to put them all on Yeoman Ross. I'm not helping you.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. So to count all up at the end of the turn here, I've got 2 on the Enterprise, 5 on Yeoman Ross, that's 7. Spock has 2, 8, 9. And then 1 from Kirk, which makes 10. Still short on the 25.
We're working our way there slowly. I'm just going to bring my. I thought maybe the play space would be too busy to have the default plot and mission cards sitting out permanently, but I'm seeing it work out well for you. So for anyone watching, these are just my equivalent of the cards David has at the bottom of the screen, which are the defaults that you play if you don't have any in hand. So that's them there.
And my OCD is taking over. I have to. My camera rig is very sensitive and will collapse if I touch it or even look at it wrong. So I don't want to move my camera to straighten it. I'm going to straighten my card or make my cards a little canted. And I will now I'll discard my 2.
Sure. Yeah.
2 cards there from the episode. All right. Anything else? Otherwise, we'll turn to you.
Yeah, I think we're on to the next turn. So I have my discard phase. I'm going to discard a card here. Just have to decide which one. So very, very regretfully, I'm going to discard and Janice Rand to the discard pile and draw up to 7 cards. So I'll be drawing 5 here. Interesting. Okay.
Stephen challenging me to do my inner Shatner for an entire game next time. I'm trying to gain viewers, not lose viewers.
Yeah.
Will not
that's definitely one to save for the charity stream. You know, the full cosplay in character game of Star Trek, the card game. Yeah.
I don't see that happening in the future.
So. Okay, crew phase. I can add a crew card to my complement, which I would like to do. I'm going to add another Yeoman, Yeoman Smith, to the crew complement. So this is she has an ability reward. If Smith survives any episode using episode cards from Where No Man Has Gone Before, gain 1 additional XC. So that's that. Mission segment. Feeling risky here. We're going to play the mission Miri. So this is the u.s.s. Enterprise explores an Earth-like world inhabited only by children. And the rules text is +3 XC, but all challenges with Enigma are at +1 to all ratings. So that could come back to haunt me. Landing party. I'm actually in a position where I can have the get up to the maximum 5 crew members here. So, oh no, actually I can't bring the Enterprise this time because there's no Enterprise symbol on the card. So it's just the 4 crew members, the 2 Yeomen and the 2 core crew here who are going to this.
All right. I do.
Sorry, I'm just laughing at that card from Stephen there.
Finding Nimoy would be the director's cut.
Initial XC segment. Current player adds 1 XC from power base to each landing party member they wish. So I have 2 in my power base. So I'm going to take 1 of them, and I'm going to add that to my freshly deployed Yeoman here for 1. Anything over 1 would go back to stores, but I'm just at 1, so that's fine. And then we go to the initial challenge segment. So David, do you have any challenge you would like to play onto my mission?
I do not.
Okay, so I move from the mission phase to the plot segment. And I sadly do not have a plot I want to put down here. So do you have a plot that you would like to jump in with here, or am I on the default plot?
You're on the default, sir. Okay,
I can breathe a sigh of relief there. In which case, do you have a challenge that you would like to play in at the plot phase? No. Okay. So I clear most of the turn without any problems there. Discovery phase. Again, really sadly for me, I don't have a discovery card in hand, so I'm either on the default one, or if David has one that he wants to jump in with here, he gets a chance to play one as well as the challenging player.
Nope, I'm going to let you go with the default, and no challenges on that either.
Okay. So again, we've got a pretty straightforward resolution phase here. I will get 3xc from my first mission card. And continuing the trend that both you and I are going with here, I will dump all 3 of that onto my Yeoman. So that, I think, basically ends my turn. I don't think there's anything else. I get nothing for either of the default plot episodes, and not really any sort of bonuses from any cards I have in play or anything that are going to help out there either. So we just go back to your turn, I think, David.
All right. And just to be sure, I'm looking there, you've still got 1 on Kirk, 2 on Spock, and 2 on the Enterprise.
Spot on, yeah. So we've got, at the moment, I've got 5xc on the core, and I've got 9 on my crew, so that's 14. 1 in stores would be 15, so we're still 10 away from the finishing line there.
Inching closer, though. Inching closer.
Slowly but surely.
All right, so play goes to me, and we're in the discard phase. I am going to discard. Let me just read this flavor text here real quick. I'm going to discard this wild card, which is a direct hit. Play only if the u.s.s. Enterprise is involved in the mission. The Enterprise loses 1 XC, or current player must discard 1 of his complement. It's kind of an interesting effect, but not going to help me right away. And I don't know how often it's going to happen that the Enterprise is going to be in the landing party. So I'm just going to let that one go, and in favor of drawing 4 cards. All right. Interesting. All right. Now this is where I play from my power base, or sacrifice down to 1, correct?
So
or
first
crew
of all,
first.
Yeah, crew. After draw phase, we go to crew. So if you've got a crew member you'd like to add in, go for it now.
Okay. So no crew to add. I'll stick with what I've got.
Cool. Next up, we've got the mission segment. So you're playing your mission card or using the default one.
Interesting. I just commented about this, but I'm going to play my mission card from Tomorrow is Yesterday. The u.s.s. Enterprise encounters a black star. The advantage here is that it is +2 XC at the end of the turn. And it's also got the Enterprise symbol on there in the corners. So to declare my landing party, I've got everybody. Kirk, Spock, Yeoman Ross, and the Enterprise are all involved here.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And this is the moment where we move to the initial XC segment, which is the current player adds 1 XC from his power base to each landing party member he wishes, and any power base XC left in power base over 1 goes back to the ship stores.
Yeah. How many cards do you have in your hand, if I may ask?
Yeah, that seems like a good question to be asking at this point. I have 5 cards in hand at the moment.
Okay, I'm going to play this one on Kirk here, because I I have a feeling there's some challenge cards in there that you've been holding on to.
Okay, yeah.
And with that having been said, we go on to the challenge section, right?
Yes, indeed. So do I have anything I can do to interfere here? Yes, I'm going to pay 1 XC from my power base. I have nothing left in my power base now to play the challenge Black Knight. So Black Knight is a creation of the mind brought to life by alien technology. Combat rating is equal to the highest logic in the landing party when played. So again, this is going to be Spock, I think. So he's going to have a combat rating of 7. This time, the only action I have to choose is attack. And the target is the choice of the current player. So I'm guessing you might go with Kirk here, David?
Yes.
Okay. So I think we're similar to last time. We're both flipping 7 cards for this combat and looking for red symbols.
Okay, let's do it. Well, I can see whoever put this starter deck in the box that they were focusing on humanity because yikes, at least I didn't get skunked. I have 1. How many do you have? 2? Oh, you got
I have
3.
3 here. So so the Black Knight is at least going to have a shot at doing some damage here. Now here's the question: which one of us does the icon flip for a result on this?
I would assume it would be me.
That sounds right too. Let me just quickly go back to the handy cheat sheet here about icon flips to make sure. Current player selects the targeted crew, whether he plays the episode card or the opponent. So current player draws 1 card from the top of the draw pile to indicate the result of the icon flip. So when you're ready, David, go for it.
It's logic, which is no effect.
Lucky break, no effect yet. Black Knight is appropriately, if you've ever seen the episode, actually harmless. So that challenge. Actually, the challenge wasn't defeated, right? Because it wasn't. It won the challenge. If you get where I'm going with this, David.
Oh yeah,
right?
it would stay there. Yeah, it would be persistent. I just happened to get out from under it, from under the effect.
But the good news is that you go past it for the time being without any detriment. So
It's going to come
we go on
back to haunt me at the end.
This is my plan, my hope. So we're on to the plot segment. Do you have a plot you'd like to play, or are you on the basic one here? The humanities.
Steven, you're killing me. You're killing me. I do have a plot that I'm going to play from What Are Little Girls Made Of?
Okay.
In an underground lab, an ancient android captures the landing party. This gives me +2 XC at the end. All android challenges are +2 to all ratings. So a bit of a risk on my part. This seems more like one that I would play if I were the challenging player and I had an android challenge, but I'm going to risk it and see if you have a challenge that has the android keyword.
Hey, and as you said earlier, like with these, at least you're getting this XC bonus for the risk, so it's maybe not the worst. Unfortunately, I do not have a challenge this time to lay down onto this one, so you're all good on your plot card. Now, this is where we get to the one thing we've not really done yet, David. I think maybe that's not impacted the game too much because I don't think either of us have been in a position where we would have wanted to. but we've sort of not talked much about the repeat segment. You can actually keep playing plot cards, unlike mission cards and discovery cards, which bookend this phase that you only ever play one of. With plot cards, if you have more, you can keep dropping more.
Interesting.
So I know for me, for anyone watching this game thinking like, oh, maybe it would have been very different if they'd realized that earlier. I don't think that would have ever been something that was relevant for me. So I don't think we've missed too much. But if you have just now, if you have another plot card you'd like to play, maybe now's the time that we can start doing that. Otherwise, I think we'll just be on to the resolving challenge segments where we're going to go back and try this challenge card again.
I have no other plot cards, so let's. And I hadn't had any previously, so the outcome of the game isn't affected by us missing that by mistake. So
great, that's good.
All right, so back to the Black Knight. 7 and 7 again.
Yep, still all the same here. So it's Kirk versus the Black Knight again. So yeah, let's see what happens. 7. I feel like by the law of averages, you're probably due to win this one after that horrendous draw last time. Although I got a pretty good pull there.
I just have 1.
I have 3. So Black Knight's going to get his chance to do some damage again here.
All right, icon flip. Here we go. Captain Kirk, what happens? Oh, another logic one, so no effect.
I can see this going on for a while. So the card remains because technically I won the challenge. So we then go to the discovery phase. So do you have a discovery card you would like to play, David?
Yes. I'm going to play the discovery card from the enemy within. Despite previous failed attempts, the 2 captains are successfully reintegrated.
A classic.
Plus 2 XC, I do an icon flip with a kill result treated as a neutralize result.
So which crew member are you choosing for this? Because this could be important potentially here.
It'll be now neutralized. I still get to keep all of the XC.
Yeah, I believe that's correct. So you get to keep the XC that's on the card. The card can't contribute to any challenges that are still going on. And it's capped at gaining only 1 XC at the end of the mission. But for your yeoman there, she's already at her limit of 5 XC, so I suppose it doesn't probably matter the point about the cap.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. All right.
Okay, that's did you do the flip? Because I guess maybe she avoids being neutralized if you don't if you flip the logic symbol still.
Oh, right. Yeah. Gosh. Just immediately went to the penalty there.
Yeah.
Well, there's the penalty for you.
Okay, sure. So she is neutralized.
Okay. So back to the Black Knight.
Yeah, so we actually technically we go to the resolution phase now. Challenger XC segment. The challenging player receives 1 XC from ship stores for each challenge and episode card he played still on the episode, plus the cost of any challenge cards still on the episode. So I have 1 challenge card on the episode, and I paid 1 XC for it. So at this point, I get 2 XC into my power base. It specifically says it goes to the power base rather than anywhere else. And then immediately after that, we move to the final resolve challenge segment. So all remaining challenges are resolved 1 at a time in order played until they're defeated. The current player abandons the episode voluntarily, or all of the landing party are killed, neutralized, or converted. So Kirk versus the Black Knight again, David?
Kirk versus the Black Knight. Let's do it.
Okay.
Now I'm going to run out of cards, so you'll see me quickly shuffle
Sure.
once I draw these. 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, it's looking good so far. Still fresh out of the box here. They're not shuffling as well as I would like.
The card stock is really nice that they used to print this game on. Like uncommonly nice for the time. I feel like it's very kind of substantial, and it doesn't feel like it would warp easily over time, which a lot of cheaper cards do. You know.
Yeah, I've got some. Not to talk trash, but I've got some cards from the Scooby-Doo expandable card game, and they are bowed a little bit, and they're not nice thick cardstock like this. I never really put much thought into it until just when I got those Scooby-Doo cards, and now that I'm shuffling these, that I never really thought too much about the cardstock.
Yeah, they're really nice cards for this game, and it is like a lot of card games. You mentioned Scooby Doo. I was recently opening some cards for an old game from around about this time called On the Edge, and very mysteriously they more or less came out with a box and packets kind of bowed almost already, which was I don't even know how that happens. I guess it's probably something to do with how they were packed originally, and then how they've been in storage for like 30 years almost at this point, right? So
Right.
they've had time to get warped a bit, but no such problems with this. For collectors who just want to have these nice cards to look at and keep in a binder somewhere, in terms of the durability of these cards, I really recommend this one from this era. So yeah, if you're a Star Trek fan, checking this out just for the appearance of the cards, they're a nice collectible for sure.
At the time of this broadcast, still a pretty good price too.
A bargain, an absolute bargain, especially when you consider that the game that I think really kind of overshadows this one is a big part of the reason why people aren't aware necessarily this even exists is the Star Trek collectible card game, which came out before this. And some of the cards for that, and even some of the packs and whatnot, are extremely expensive and collectible now. And this is just dirt cheap compared to the CCG. So yeah, if you're looking for like a cheaper option for getting into Star Trek card games, this Fleer one from '96 has you covered. You're going to be paying a lot more to get into the CCG, that's for sure. So, however, getting back to our game, I see that I only have one red icon, so I think Kirk is finally bested the Black Knight in combat.
Yeah, I could only draw 4 there before I ran out of cards. I've got 2 already, but I do need to draw all the way up just so we burn through the cards that we're supposed to. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So I've got 3 combat icons.
Okay, so the Black Knight is finally sent packing. Okay, so we're on to the final XC segment. So all the challenge cards are gone. The current player receives XC based on the amount on the mission cards with any modifiers. So how much XC are you looking at there, David?
Got +2 from the mission, +2 from the plot, and +2 from the discovery. So 6.
Very nice. So you can now distribute them to any surviving landing party crew or your power base, and there's no limit to how many XCs a player can have. And yeah, there's no limit to how many you can have in your power base. So neutralized crew can only receive 1 XC, but we've already said the Yeoman was at capacity anyway for how much XC the card can hold, so it keeps it simple.
Well, I'll put 1 on each on Spock and Kirk.
Okay.
Oh, and the Enterprise is in my landing party. I can put 1 on that too.
Yep.
And I'm hoping that I'm going to draw some crew complements. So I'm going to keep a couple in my power base there.
Makes sense.
All right. And I'll return control of the core crew back to you. Oh, just to count up, I've got 3, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm still shy.
Okay, so we're edging up, but we're not there yet.
And I count the power base too?
I believe so. Let me just check that quickly. Oh no, actually, it says if the current player is 25 or more XC among bridge crew and complement, that can't be right though. Sorry, I'm looking at the quick reference and I don't think it's actually telling me the right thing about that. Because I believe that wild cards will certainly count towards
permanent wild count too, yeah. Okay.
So let me just go back to the original book here and
Abilities, effects. Yeah, this, like I said, this last part of counting the XC and dividing it up and stuff got kind of convoluted. So
here we go. Current player must have 25 or more XC distributed between bridge crew and crew in complement to win. It is very important to note that XC on bridge crew is shared between all players, which we're good with that. So interestingly, it doesn't say anything about wildcards. So I presume that there are reasons why you might want to bank XC off onto wildcards, maybe for activating abilities on those wildcards, or just saving it from being squandered when you have to purge your XC pool. But I think it's fair to say that from what we've played so far, it's maybe a little bit, we've not really had wildcards come up. It's maybe a little bit obscure to the two of us at the moment what the deal is with why you would want to put XC onto something that doesn't count towards your victory, but it's useful to know that that's the case. It says it has to be bridge crew and crew in complement to win the game. So yeah,
makes sense. Yeah, I suppose you would just put them there out of spite to keep them from your opponent, or if it's a particularly valuable permanent wild card or particularly expensive.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I can only imagine there probably are sort of more uses for it, but interesting to note, definitely. So the stuff in your bank and on wild cards doesn't count towards victory. So it's just your crew complement and the core crew that chip in on that.
Right on. Well, I have nothing left. The crew is back to you, and so I'm going to discard my episode cards here very quickly to reset the board. And I invite you to start your discard phase.
Sure. Okay. So I'm beginning to get the feeling that maybe discarding more zealously at this point than less is the way forward in this game. So I'm going to ditch 3 cards. I've got a challenge. Genghis Khan's going. I've got a plot, balance of terror, and an effect, which is tricorder reading. All 3 of them getting discarded. So I will draw 6 cards at this point.
I don't know why I'm highlighting that one. That's such a dad joke. That's
Okay, so I've drawn back up crew phase. I am going to add Lieutenant Robert Tomlinson to my crew complement. So his ability is ship's phasers pay 1 XC to increase the combat rating of the u.s.s. Enterprise by 2 for the remainder of the episode, which is an interesting one. Mission segment. So for my mission, I'm going to play the alternative factor. The u.s.s. Enterprise investigates a sudden galaxy-wide energy disturbance. This is +2 XC. Player may bring an unlimited number of crew on the landing party. Sadly, still not quite able to take advantage of breaking the usual limit of 5. Landing party segment. I'm going to bring my 3 crewmen of my own plus Kirk and Spock. And then initial XC segment, I can add 1 XC from power base to each landing party member I wish. And yeah, I think I will do exactly that. So I've got 2 in the bank. So I'm going to choose to add 1 to Yeoman Smith and 1 to Lieutenant Tomlinson. And then we finally move on to the initial challenge segment. Do you have a challenge you would like to play on the mission, David?
Yes.
Okay, what do we got?
I'm going to play the Galactic High Commissioner Ferris. Ferris is a bullheaded bureaucrat used to getting his way. Episode cannot be voluntarily abandoned while Ferris is in play. He uses either argue or command. And I think I'm going to use... Well, it looks like it's the same regardless. So let's just go with argue. The bullheaded diplomat is going to argue with, referring to the info card, the rating we're going to use is logic, and the target is the crew person with the lowest logic score.
So I would be in trouble here because my Lieutenant Tomlinson only has 2, which is pretty miserable, but I'm going to pay an XC from Kirk to make him the target of an action, since he has 4 logic, so he has a slightly better chance. Although actually, sorry, reading the rest of that rules clause, he's actually on -1 to all ratings if I use the intercede, so he'll be at 3, but that's still better than the 2 on the lieutenant, so we'll go with that.
Okay. Right to the draw?
Yeah, sure. So how many are you flipping there, David?
Oh, I'm sorry. My logic is 4.
Okay, so I'm on 3, and we're looking for blues. I have 1. How many did you get?
I have 1, but I'm going to play an effect card, which is the medical readout, which adds a +1 logic.
Okay, and I may need a rules check on this, but I would like to play this wild card, which says add 1 attribute to any crew or challenge for the remainder of the episode. So I would like to give Kirk the +1 to force the tie to get rid of this commissioner. I need to refresh my memory on when wildcards can be played, though, just to make sure that this is a legit time to play it, unless you know off the top of your head.
No, not off the top of my head. So we're going to... I know there's a heading for it in this fine...
Wildcards and permanent wildcards can be played at any time except during an icon draw, which this is. So I cannot play it, so I will keep that in my hand. And I then lose the challenge to your effect boost.
So my total is 2. What was yours?
1. So you will win. You'll win that. And it was argue you were using. So we have a convert result, I think.
Convert, yeah. Which means that person, it's like neutralized, but when you convert, they don't get to accumulate XC, and I don't think they contribute to XC at the end. When you count up to 25.
So Kirk has been converted, so he's out of the picture for this. So we then have the plot segment. Unfortunately, I'm on the basic plot, so if you have any plot you want to interject with here, David, you can go for it.
I do not.
Okay, so basic plot stays. And this is the point where we go to the resolve challenge segment again. So we still have your challenge card in play. This time I can't use Kirk's ability to redirect to him because he's out of action from the first challenge. So it will go to my lieutenant with his logic rating of 2. I'm just quickly shuffling my deck because I had run out of cards in that last one so that I have enough for so I can do the draw here.
Oh, sure. We'll fill the time with Stephen's comment here, and that's a tough one. I'm agnostic on that one because I love them both.
It's got to be Star Trek for me.
Star Trek, okay.
As much as I enjoy Star Wars as well, Star Trek's the winner for that one.
Star Trek's the winner. Normally Star Wars would win with me, but lately Star Wars hasn't been working out too well. So I don't know about that. So if people watching, put your comment in there and put in your vote. I'm curious, Star Wars or Star Trek?
I have reshuffled my deck, so I'm good to go on this flip. So this time I will only get 2 cards. You're on 4, right, David?
Correct. Yeah. You ready?
Yeah, let's go for it. So I did get 1.
I got 1.
1. Okay, so as the defending player, that's enough for me to see off the challenge.
Yeah.
So with that done, we move to the discovery phase. Really sadly, I do not have a discovery card to play. I do have a permanent wild card that I think it makes sense for me to play just now. So I'm going to go ahead and do that since I can play it anytime that's not an icon flip. So the first time we've seen a permanent wild card in the game, this one's called New Life and New Civilizations. It says, while in play, all challenges that do not require a cost are at +1 for all ratings. Here's where we get to why I might want to put XC on it. I can pay 1 XC from it to retrieve any challenge that does not require a cost from your draw pile and into your hand. So it lets me basically tutor in Magic parlance for a challenge and add it to my hands. Or I can pay 2 XC to retrieve any challenge from either your discard or draw pile into hand. So one that would require a cost. So it seems very good. Sadly, I don't have any XC on it just now, but I'm going to play it in anticipation that maybe I'll get to put some on it at the end of this turn. So David, if you have a discovery you want to play to cancel the regular one, you're good to go.
You're going with the default discovery?
Yep, unfortunately, I don't have another one.
Then I don't have anything to play.
Okay, sure. So I've managed to clear all the challenges on this one, so we've got a pretty straightforward resolve phase. I'm only on +2 XC. Just had the 1 mission card come down to increase that. So I will give 1 XC to Lieutenant Robert Tomlinson, and I will put 1 XC on my permanent wild. And at the end of that turn, actually, that's a good point. Yeah, so what happens is the core crew go back first, then the game checks for victory scores. So I'm at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 20. So I'm creeping up there towards the 25, but I'm not there. So the game rolls on. Mission goes to the discard pile, and I pass to you, David, for the start of your turn.
All right. So we'll start with discard. Um, I'm going to keep my 2. I've only got 2. I'm going to keep those and draw 5 to get up to my full hand size. 3, 4, 5. Interesting. Interesting. Look back to the phases here. So I did discard and draw. So now I get to add to my crew complement, which I will be doing.
Yes, indeed. Yeah.
I'm not going to throw away Yeoman Rand like you did. I'm going to bring her out as part of my crew complement. Episode phase. I'm going to have to go with the default mission on this one.
Okay. Do I have anything that I can throw into the mix here?
Oh, you know what? I'm going to correct myself. I'm going to play the mission from the cage.
Okay.
Plus 2 XC. Plot cards may be played from the menagerie on this mission and still receive an episode bonus.
So that's your mission segment. Who are you bringing your landing party, David?
My landing party is going to be Kirk, Spock, Rand. You know what? No, I'll bring her with me. Both default and both of my crew complement.
Okay. So we then have the initial XC segment. Do you have any XC in your pool there, David?
Yes, I do.
So this is the stage at which you can add 1 to each member of the landing party that you wish, but only 1 to each.
Yeah.
And you can keep 1 in the bank as well. So, but anything over 1 that's in the bank after this goes back to the stores.
Put 1 on Rand. Yeoman Ross is at her max. I don't know. Feeling kind of lucky. I'm going to put 1 on Kirk here.
Kirk, okay. So Kirk's up to 3. So we've got the initial challenge segment, and I think this is a good point for me to use pay my 1 XC from my permanent wild to retrieve any challenge that doesn't require cost from my draw pile and add it to my hand so that I have something to challenge you with. Here is the plan. So I will do that just now. Bear with me a second while I take a quick look through the deck and try and work out what I'm going to use.
And I'm going to bring up Stephen's latest comment here. Is there a Kobayashi Maru card, and can it be countered by a contact medical card? I think the Kobayashi Maru wasn't introduced until the movies, so there won't be a Kobayashi Maru card until we create an expansion for that. So something to think about, Stephen. You can put your head into that one. I remember correctly reading about this too, that the base game covers, I think, the first season, for the first and second season, and then the expansion just covers like the first half of the first season. So there's still a lot to draw from here.
Yes, definitely. So David, one interesting thing here is that this this permanent wild says pay 1xc to retrieve any challenge that does not require cost from your draw pile into your hand. It does not explicitly say to shuffle your draw pile, but I think we can. I don't know whether that's buried in the rulebook somewhere that you do that. In any case, unless you object, I think that shuffling makes sense at this point.
I think shuffling is prudent.
Yeah,
even if
so
it's not
let's
specifically.
go with that. Yeah.
The Kobayashi Maru should be an ultra rare, absolutely, and foil if I have my choice. That's my one complaint about the design of these cards in general, is that there's really nothing to differentiate rare and ultra rare from common and uncommon. There's no other than the distribution of the cards.
Takes us back to a more nobler age. Yeah, you know?
Yeah, I like the chase cards. It gives a little extra, and you can kind of flex a little bit. If you have a foil card, you can play that out on your play field, and yeah.
They are super nice to look at. I guess I have a little bit of a soft spot from the nostalgia of being like a 90s kid, and those first the sort of first experiences opening mainly Magic packs back when they first came out in the UK, and just the fun of having no idea what was rare or not, and just figuring it all out as you went. Unless you opened a Black Lotus, because everyone knows that one's rare. So. Anyway, I have searched for my card. It does not say that I have to reveal it, so I'm going to presume that I don't need to show it. And that is me done there. So I now move to my initial challenge segment, and unsurprisingly, given that I just went and specifically looked for something, I do have a challenge to play. So I'm going to play the Black Knight again. So this is an attack. David, I'm so sorry. I found an illegal card with that search. Probably the easiest way for us to walk this back, if you're okay with it, is just for me to search for a legal card this time. I couldn't have found this one because it requires me to pay a cost, which I didn't notice. And that's like specifically against the rule of the permanent wild. Are you okay if I just quickly find something else?
Yeah, go for it. It gives us more time to talk witty banter about ultra rare cards and stuff. Yeah, I liked finding those special ones in there. That was kind of the fun. I was a non-sports trading card collector to begin with, like back in the early 90s. And X-Files cards were a big one because they had those great artwork cards that depicted the comic book covers. Which
I love those cards. The art was amazing from that year. They got done for them. Yeah.
Did you find your challenge card?
I have found my challenge card now. This time it's one that's actually legal for me to play. It's actually fairly similar. So this is the Samurai Warrior who I played earlier, who got shuffled back in when I ran through my deck. This is Attack or Enigma. I'm going to be choosing Attack. The Samurai is a creation of the mind brought to life by alien technology. Combat rating is equal to the highest logic rating in the landing party when played. So I believe that puts him at 7 again because you've got Spock with you.
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so it's the choice of the current player who he enters into combat with. I suspect it might be Kirk again, but who would you like him to fight, David?
I'm going to choose Yeoman Janice Rand. No, it's going to be Kirk. Janice Rand with a 2.
So we're both drawing 7 here, I believe.
Yep, ready?
I'm looking for red. Yeah, let's go for it.
Oh, not my best draw.
How do you get on?
Only 2 red.
Good news is it was only 2 for me as well, so you're going to get past this without any disruption there.
Barely got away with that one.
Yeah. So the Samurai is off to my discard pile, and you're good to move on to your plot step.
All right, plot. I'm going to go with the default on this one.
Okay.
Yeah, unless you have a plot card you want to play.
Um, no, nothing from me. So all good for that, and that means that we can move on to the discovery phase.
All right. So no challenges to repeat.
Yep.
This is a tough one to read here.
Sure. And actually, I say we move on to the discovery phase, but as I was saying earlier, if you have more than one plot card and you want to play another plot card, you can do so now.
No, I realized that, but no, I don't have another plot card.
Okay.
I didn't have one to begin with, so.
Oh yeah, sorry. I managed to forget that. My mistake.
So no more plot cards, no more challenges to do. I just go right to XC awards, right?
Yep, sounds good.
All right, and unfortunately, I only have the +2 from the mission, which I'm going to put both onto Janice Rand there. And unless I'm forgetting anything, just total them all up here. I've got 3, and then 5 is 8. 3 here is 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Still woefully short.
Okay. And is that the end of your turn, David?
Yep, I'll return the core crew back. Actually, I should have returned the core crew first and then counted. But take this mission, put it back, put it in the discard, and turn to you for your discard.
Okay. So I'm going to discard 3 here. I've got a couple of wild cards, Telesian Illusion and Direct Hit, that are getting discarded, and 1 mission card, Conscience of the King, that I'm going to discard as well. So I'm drawing 6 cards. I've only got 1 card in hand again. Now, sadly for me, for the first time in the game, I do not have a new crew person that I can add to my team, which is it's a shame. So I'm just going to go on to the episode phase, so mission segment. I am going to play the shore leave mission. The captain gives the crew shore leave on an Earth-like planet. So this is actually +0 XC. However, I can bring an unlimited number of crew on the landing party. So I will go with my 3 own crew plus Kirk and Spock. Do you have a challenge you would like to play?
Do I have a challenge? Let me just quickly review this here.
I don't like that laugh. That sounds like bad news for me.
No challenge on this one.
Okay. So I will go to plot step. And I have plot card Dagger of the Mind that I'll play here. It says bizarre behavior convinces the captain to investigate. It says +1 XC, all crew are at +1 to logic rating. Do you have a challenge you'd like to play against the plot?
This is no.
Okay, so I'll move on to discovery. and I will play the discovery from What Are Little Girls Made Of? And this says a scientist reveals the used ancient technology to he used ancient technology to become an android, sacrificing his humanity. And this is +1 XC. Android challenges generate no XC. Sadly, you don't have any Android challenges in play, so that's not going to do much to help me out. But it does give me that point of XC at the end of things. So there's no challenges left in play. So a pretty simple resolution step again. I have 2 XC, one from plot and one from the discovery. I am going to. Here's a decision. So I'm going to bank 1 in my power base. Oh, this is really tough. I'm going to bank 1 in my power base and put 1 on Robert Tomlinson. That's the plan here, so we'll go with that. And that's the end of my turn, so I discard the mission cards that I'd played. I am at 10, 19, 22 points, so beginning to get real close, but not there yet. So I will send the core crew back to the common pool and pass the turn to you, David.
All right, then I'll start my discard. Oh, I'm definitely going to discard this one, and I'll bring this up. Remind me to bring up this challenge card, Ben Childress, at the end. I kind of want to talk about that one because it seems a little odd.
Okay, I look forward to that.
That leaves me with 4, so I'll draw 3. Interesting. Back here, crew phase. I'm going to add another crewman. This is Ensign Pavel Chekhov.
Wow, this is the first sort of like big name that we've seen added to either. I suppose Yeoman Rand came in on your turn last turn, but I think Chekhov's probably the biggest recurring character we've had join either crew yet, so that's exciting.
Yeah, and he's got that navigation keyword. I'm going to very quickly refresh my memory on what that does. Pay 1 XC to search through your draw pile for a plot or discovery card. Show that card to your opponent and add it to your hand, and then shuffle your draw pile. Not bad.
It's quite fun, like with my permanent wild card from last turn and Chekhov's ability there. Like we're beginning to see some more things show up that use XC in ways that we didn't see earlier in the game. So it's fun.
All right, that was my crew phase. So on to the episode phase. Play a mission card. I'm going to go with my default on the mission, and now I choose my landing party.
And sure. So I would have an option to play onto the mission, but unfortunately, I don't have a mission card to come in with there. So so yeah, you're just onto a landing party now.
Okay, now I go to landing party, and the maximum is 5, right?
I believe so. Yep.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with all of them here. Oh, any challenges, sir?
Let's see. Could you tell me the humanity scores on your crew members who aren't Kirk or Spock, please, David?
Uh, Before we go any further, I wonder if I could reverse and go back to assign XC on the landing party. I skipped that by mistake.
Of course. Sorry, I should have chimed in about that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have one in my power base. I'm going to put that on check off.
Sure. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so now to the challenge.
Yeah, just asking if you can jog my memory. What is the humanity score on each of your crew members who aren't the core ones there?
Yeoman Ross is 4, Yeoman Rand is 3, and Chekhov is 4.
Interesting. Okay, I'm just sort of weighing up my options here. And sorry to ask a very similar question, but could you just tell me what their combat ratings are as well, the three of them?
Sure. As starting again with Yeoman Ross, her combat is 3, Yeoman Rand is 2, and Ensign Chekhov a big 5.
Wow. Okay, last time I'm asking a question like this. Chekhov's humanity rating is again
4.
4. Okay. So yes, I have a challenge I'm going to play. This is going to be an interesting series of events. Like I have to spend one what's it called XC to play this. So I'm going to play the challenge M113 monster brackets crewman green form. This telepathic creature kills and takes the form of Enterprise crew members gain access to the ship. It is either fatal allure or attack for its action. I'm going to pick fatal allure. And it's the choice of challenging player for the target. So I'm going to try to target Chekhov with this.
Okay. So it's against his humanity, right?
Yeah, sure. So the flip here is I have 4, and I think you have 4 as well, right?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, so we're flipping and looking for yellow symbols. Well, I have none. How did you get on?
I got 1, yep.
So you see off my M113 monster with no problems there, and I will let you proceed to your plot phase.
Okay. I am at this time going to use Chekhov's navigation to pay 1 XC to look through my draw pile for a plot card.
Seems good.
Come on, plots. There we go. And I'm going to play it right away. Normally I would put it right to my hand, but I think it said I have to show you anyway. The plot is the enemy within. The evil captain wreaks havoc on the unsuspecting crew. This is +2 XC, and the effect is no wildcards may be played for the remainder of the episode.
Very nice. That seems good. Sadly, I have no challenge to come in with here, so you're good to go straight onto your discovery.
Okay. Yeah, so no challenges to repeat. I keep forgetting the sequence here.
Yeah, so you have no challenges to repeat. You're good to play discovery if you have one. If you don't have one, I could play one over the top, and then we'd go to the resolution phase.
I am going to play a discovery. It's going to be the discovery from the Galileo 7. A leader momentarily abandons cold logic and makes an emotional decision, which results in the crew's rescue. Ooh. Very interesting. This is +1 XC or +2 XC if a Vulcan is present in the landing party, which I do have Spock.
Very nice, yeah.
Which will give me a little bit extra there.
Okay, so you're going to bag quite a lot of XC here, David. How are you splitting it up? So you've got 6 in total, is that right?
Well, I've got 1 from the default mission here, from the the mission, 2 from the plot, and 2 from discovery. So I've got 5 all day. And I'm going to keep 2 in my power base. I'm going to put 3 on checkoff. Yeah, I feel good about that.
Okay, yeah, it seems good to me.
All right, so I will return the core crew. And then let's count them up here. 3, that makes 8, 11, 14, 17, 20. I'm catching up, but not quite there.
Pretty close behind, yeah. Okay, and is that the end of your turn?
Yeah, I'll turn to you for your discard phase.
Sure, so I have 2 discards. I'm discarding the Romulan Bird of Prey Commander and a tricorder reading. I'm drawing 6. And we have something that has not happened yet before, so might need a second to work this one through. I am going to play my own copy of Yeoman Janice Rand.
I read about this.
So
mine goes to the discard, and yours becomes a permanent bridge crew member, if I remember correctly.
Put the opponent's card with the bridge crew. So mine will get removed from the game, and it is actually removed from the game specifically, interestingly, rather than discarded. And put the opponent's card with the bridge crew, taking half rounded down of any XCs on it. So we'll remove my copy from the game, and your copy with half of the XC rounded down gone goes to the bridge crew.
Rounded down, so it only gets 1 then, right? Am I remembering
that? Let me just reread that to make sure we got it right. Put the opponent's card with the bridge crew, taking half brackets rounded down of any XC on it. So
it had 3, so it goes to 1.5. Round down is 1.
Unless it's saying round round down the half. Do you follow me? So like then it would be it has three. Half of that is 1.5. Rounding down that would be one that gets removed. Do you follow my thinking here as to why it could be the other way around?
Yeah, I was thinking one would be left on it, but
let me just go because this is from the cheat sheet. Let me just consult the tiny rule book and see if we have like maybe a clearer wording here.
So crew phase here. Play crew card is optional.
Here we go. I think page 38. Maybe we're going to get some. When
this is done, the current player's crew card is removed from the game and the challenging player's identical card joins the bridge crew. This means the challenging player's crew card is turned horizontal and moved into the center.
Here we go. Crew cards.
Crew
cards from the challenging player's complement that are turned into bridge crew lose half their XC brackets rounded down immediately upon joining the bridge crew. That doesn't really answer our question, does it, as to what rounded down is referring to?
lose half of their XC. So if I had 3, half is 1.5. Round down is 1, so she loses 1.
Yeah,
that's how I read that.
Okay, let's go with that. Yeah.
Okay, so she will have 2 on her going forward.
And in fact, so technically my copy's removed from the game, but because we're playing over webcam, I'm actually going to pop her in the core crew as like as representing your copy.
Yeah.
That very so that puts me to having 24 at the end of the turn if I do nothing. I was really hoping that maybe it would just nudge me over to 25 so I could just sort of like pass my turn risk free and just
coast
the end
through the rest. Yeah.
Okay, right. However, that's not how this is going to work. So, okay, 9, 11, 14, 24. So onto so that's the crew phase done. Onto the episode phase mission segment. I will play I'll play Tomorrow is Yesterday for the mission. So this is just +2 XC. Do you have a challenge card you'd like to throw at me, David?
I do not.
In fact, landing team I should have declared, I guess. I'll take the 3 who are out here, plus Kirk and Spock. In fact, I guess I have to take the Enterprise because the Enterprise card is on the mission.
Yeah, it becomes part of the landing crew.
Does it? I guess it counts towards the maximum.
Oh, good question. Yeah, it would.
So I suppose in that case, I would take Kirk, Spock, the Enterprise, and I would leave. I will leave Yeoman Smith at home for this one in that case. So it's Kirk, Spock, the Enterprise, Lieutenant Tomlinson, and Yeoman Tina Lawton who are on this mission technically. Cool. So did I hear you say that there's no challenge coming at the mission stage?
No challenge, no.
Okay. Moving to plot phase. Sadly, I don't have a plot in hand to play, so this is your chance to overwrite the plot slot if you want to.
I do. I'm going to play the plot from Miri. One of the children develops a crush on the captain and helps the landing party. +2 XC, but each crew card in the landing party must make an icon flip kill results treated as neutralized.
Okay, interesting. So with this, I'll start with Tina Lawton and I'll work down the way. So for Tina, flip, it's a yellow, which is a neutralize. For Tomlinson, it's a yellow, which is neutralize. For Kirk, it's a blue, so he's
No
safe.
effect. Yeah.
For Spock, it's a red, so this counts as a neutralize.
Correct. Yeah.
And for the Enterprise, it's a red, so that's going to count as a neutralize as well.
Correct.
So that was pretty devastating. What a plot card. That one seems like a real winner there.
Yeah. Other than giving you +2 XC.
I suppose it comes at a cost, but still, yeah, wow. Okay.
I
Do
figure
you have
I was going to say, I figure if you're at 24 and you're going to get 1 off the default mission, probably you're already there.
throw everything at it? Yeah. Do you have a challenge that you would like to play on that plot, David?
I do not.
Okay, so I get to move to Discovery, and I thankfully do have a Discovery card. I'm going to play the Squire of Gothos, which is +1 XC. All godlike challenger cards are immediately discarded and generate no XC, which I think is irrelevant here. Challenges have all been cleared, so it's a pretty simple resolution again. I guess barring the fact that I do have a lot of neutralized cards, which will have an impact here. So I have 3 XC that I can assign. Unsurprisingly, with Kirk being the only one who can receive, I'm going to choose to put 2 of them onto Kirk. Oh, hello, Kat.
Tribble got on the bridge there.
And I'll bank 1 in my pool. That seems to make the most sense here. And everything goes back to the sort of common pool the right way up. And I think I still just crawl over the finish line here. So this is 10, 13, 14, 15, 20, 26.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Okay. Whew, what a first game.
Not bad, not bad.
What did you think of Star Trek TCG, David? What are your impressions?
I love this game. I'm going to just come out and say it. I like it a lot. I think this was a great investment on my part. And like I said, still really cheap out there right now. So I would encourage people to get this. I definitely want to play it again. This is just the starter deck, and I felt like it was a fun game. We saw a couple keywords that we weren't able to take advantage of, but with some deck fine tuning and I might find some androids in my cards there and try and take advantage of that. And I still want to do some Romulan Warbird versus the Enterprise type battles. So I've already got a couple ideas on how I want to do things, which I think is the hallmark of a good game, where I'm already thinking of the next one and the next deck I want to make.
Remind me again, what was the card that you were wanting to come back to at the end of the game? Because that sounded interesting.
Kind of a weird one. And while I'm looking for that, I'll finish my thought real quick. The design is what really brought me to this game. The card design itself, the artwork and layout, which I thought was excellent. And a lot of people have said this ahead of its time, considering when it came out.
I couldn't agree more on that point. I think in terms of visually, the cards are immerse you in the world of the original series perfectly. There's a lot of really nice little touches about we see cards like this mission where it looks like you're looking at the mission on a view screen, right on the view screen of the bridge. We saw the ones come up a couple of times that are formatted to look like a tricorder.
Right.
This card here, it looks like this display on a tricorder. Very immersive feel to not just the screen grabs that have been chosen, but the actual layout and style choices on the cards themselves. So big thumbs up from me as a Trekkie for that.
Yeah, and like I was saying, a lot of great options with deck building. You're encouraged to have all of the episode cards from one episode, which I think really brings the cool. It's a challenge in deck building, and
we didn't get to see it in that game there. We never had the lineup where. So what we're referencing here is that you get bonus XC if you have a mission, a plot, and a discovery that all come from the same episode. And I have a sneaky suspicion that both the starter decks we had that was impossible with, that we probably could not do that. Like that we just didn't have one card of each thing from the same episode. So as David's saying, when we move on to deck building, that's going to be really fun to push that. So
so that's a cool challenge for deck building and on theme with the show. So a fun thing to do there. Nathan is joining us. He is with the channel Chasing the Dragon, and he is a regular challenger on when I play the X-Files. You'll see him on my channel. And yes, he and I were, the full story is, I had seen these cards just as I was organically going through all the different games that are out there. And I'd seen these cards and they look really neat, but I had already chosen the games that I wanted to focus on, X-Files and a couple others, and save my budget for next year. And then Nathan, before one of our X-Files games, says, "Have you heard of this before?" And I was like, I think so. And he opens a couple boosters, and I was like, "Yep, that's the one." And he held a couple up to the camera, and we kind of talked through it a little bit. And I looked up on eBay, the starter deck was like $6 shipped, right? And I was like, well, you can't go wrong with that. So I shelled out my $6. I got the starter deck. I read the rules and I went through about half of the cards. I was like, I gotta have this game. I just got to do it. And I ended up buying a couple of booster boxes, only one of which I've opened so far. And still, I love it. I really enjoy this game a lot. So with that having been said, you had asked, I brought up this card. It's a challenge card for Ben Childress. So I'm going to hold this up and I hope that it comes across here. Focus, focus, focus. Maybe a little difficult to read there, but so I'll just read it up. Pay 1 XC from your power base. Okay, that's fine. His challenge is negotiate, which when you look here, you use the humanity rating. The current player gets to choose the target, and it's a neutralize, but his humanity rating is 2.
Oh, that seems extremely underwhelming, especially for one that you have to pay an XC for. I was feeling like they tended to be more powerful, those ones, and that does not seem to fall into that bracket.
I'm wondering if this was a common card, and
I feel like it must have been, yeah.
kind of a throwaway. Maybe you put in there just so you have more red icons for the challenges for the flips and stuff like that, which is again another aspect to deck building. If you want to build a combat themed deck, you want to put something like that in there just so you have that red icon to draw on. I've sucked all the oxygen out of the room. What are your thoughts on the game? Play it again? You're all done? Absolutely. What do you think?
Play it again for sure. Yeah, no, I think that this is I like that it's I know obviously we spoke about the fact that it's our first time playing it, so we were constantly kind of dipping into the rules references and rule books, reminder cards, all this kind of thing. But I really do think that actually at heart, it's not that complicated as a game, and I like that. Like I quite enjoy my TCGs that are not too crunchy. Crunchy has a place, but it's nice to be able to crack something out like this from time to time that does not feel like a super investment in terms of really having to dig into complicated rules and remember a lot. I thought that the only thing that felt a little bit fiddly was the XC carrying over in certain points of the turn phase and remembering what you could do with XC at certain times that you couldn't do at others. Um, I think that's something you'll get used to as you play, but it didn't feel like the most intuitive thing in the rules. I'm really interested to see with deck building how having to take the icons into consideration affects what building a deck is like. So yeah, it just feels like that was a lot of fun. There's still so much more to explore with it. So I'm excited. As Nathan's saying, I'm playing with him tomorrow, and I think we're recording that game rather than doing it live. So really looking forward to that. And I think the plan, correct me if I'm wrong, Nathan, is just to use starter decks again. So it will be nice actually to have one more try with just the starters. And try and just get bearings a little bit more before going into deck construction, because similarly to you, actually, David, I've got a booster box sitting waiting to open, and very randomly, I was just on holiday in New York and managed to find in a shop there. They were still selling what's the second set called? Something maneuvers.
Starfleet Maneuvers.
Starfleet Maneuvers, that's it. Yeah, they actually had booster packs of Starfleet Maneuvers still on the shelves. So I hoovered up like everything that they had sitting on the shelves there. So which was a real find for me, because in the UK, both sets are accessible. They're not super expensive, but the second set is a little bit more pricey over here. So it was really nice to snag some packs at a low price of that on holidays. So lots of opening to do, but I quite enjoy like playing a couple of games of the Starship decks first, so that when I open the packs, I have a bit more of an idea what I'm looking at. So that's the plan.
Right. So, how you can use it. Your mind will start the gears will start turning, and I can use that against this keyword and that keyword. Yeah.
Right, absolutely. Yeah, just a little bit of playtime behind you so that it all means something rather than just kind of cracking it and looking at the nice pictures or whatever. So,
right. Great. And gosh, I think that kind of wraps up any final thoughts you want to throw out there?
I think just like you were saying at the start, if anyone happens to be watching or come across this, some point in the future, who either played this a lot back when it was out or has remained playing it even better throughout all the years since, it would be absolutely fascinating to hear from you, particularly on our playthrough here, any mistakes or misinterpretations we made of the rules. I think very thankfully we seem to have managed to keep that to a minimum. So hopefully as well, if you're someone in the future who comes to this video to see how to play, hopefully we've done a good job for you on breaking down the basics of gameplay for this one. But yeah, great to hear from anyone on the video. So
yeah,
say hi.
I would echo that, and you can definitely get a hold of me through my channel there. My email is linked in my channel there, so you can get in touch with me. Would love to play this game some more and hear some thoughts and see some new angles on it. Would love to play a game, so reach out to me. As Alastair and Nathan noted, they are playing a game tomorrow. It will be recorded, but keep an eye on Chasing the Dragon, the YouTube channel Chasing the Dragon. That's Nathan's channel. It's a great channel. And thank you very much to Stephen for joining us for the entire duration of the game, and for your great comments there, keeping it lively. You can see Stephen on his YouTube channel, Alien Investigations. If you're an X-Files CCG fan, that's your first stop, aside from Studio Squim, but of course. But an excellent channel, great production value on his videos. The games that he plays are just so much fun to watch. So hats off to Stephen there. And with that, we'll wrap it up. I got to switch gears. I got a game of X-Files CCG tonight, so I got to get to my deck building. Thanks again, Alastair, for joining me. And yeah, there you go. Wrap it up. And thanks for watching.
Live long and prosper.
There it is.
Yeah.